everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and this is day 29 of Acrylic April. I can't believe we're this close to the end. If you came by because you just enjoyed this adorable little boy on Pier and you thought you'd like to paint this in acrylic and you're a new painter, you're going to love this. There's a lot of extra help for you. If you check the description down below, there's a link to our website where you'll see extra videos and information, traceables. You'll see a video about how to grid this image in, just a lot of extra stuff, including exchanges for paint colors. If you don't have my exact paint color, don't worry about it. The blog will tell you colors that will work very well instead. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hey, guys.
He has literally been an honorary Acrylic April alum. Even though he hasn't painted at all this month, he's had to make 3 videos, sometimes more a day, for us to be able to have this event. So I just want to applaud him everywhere, and y'all can leave some nice comments for John down below because he really worked very, very hard. All right, I think I'm ready to jump on in this.
Okay.
Are you, babe?
I am.
Okay. Oh, I love this. So this is a long time coming. I do all these girls and hats and flowers. It's become very popular. But of course, the moms with little boys are like, hey, little boy. So I made sure that this month we had a couple adorable little boys in a very similar style or method, so you guys can enjoy that as well. But this is iconic to me. So I'm excited to get into it. I have burnt sienna out today, Mars black, primary blue, phthalo green, ultramarine blue, titanium white, cad yellow medium hue, and vermilion. I don't think I'm going to need the magenta today, which is why that little plop of paint is black. I have everything sketched in, and I'm going to start out probably with a number 8 Cambridge. And I may actually use all 3 of my brushes today. I might get into my cat's tongue. I might get into my round. Just because I think it's going to be useful. So I'm going to start out. The trick with these when they have bristles is just to make sure that they stay fairly dry. And I'm going to mix a smidge of my primary blue into my ultramarine blue and a small amount of my burnt sienna. And look at this, we're going to get a lot of the white. See how light that is? We want a very, very light value. Maybe even lighter than that, because sometimes acrylic paint will darken as we paint, which is called color shift. And so lightening up your paint, if you're seeing a lot of color shift, is a good technique to correct for that. Acrylic is amazing, I think. It's the chameleon of all mediums. It can be like watercolor, it can be like oils, it can be thick, it can be painted on almost anything, from fine art canvases to mailboxes injected into bubble wrap. What this medium can do is extraordinary. So it's always exciting to me to get to work with it. And you can see how I'm just doing this brush back and forth. See, it's on the toe of the brush, and you can see just going back and forth. That's the stroke. And I'm leaving a little bit of the dark canvas to peek through, which is creating a bit of a water effect out there. Isn't it not, Mr. Cooney?
Yes, I like it a lot.
Now I'm going to make sure I've got a little bit of this blue around where I know I'm putting my little boy, just because, you know, I don't want him not to seem like he's surrounded with water. Because he is surrounded with water.
Yes.
Yes. Now it's just wonderful getting this out here and having some fun with this. A little more of this as we're coming down. Just getting a little more pigment into it as we go. Keeping that background as light as it is. But by pulling the saturation of the paint in as we come forward, it's going to really help us create a sense of atmospheric perspective within the painting, which just means that using the way we see natural objects like lakes and the way things might be misty or desaturated in the distance creates a sense of scope. That's all we're saying. So we're just leaning into those things, right?
Yeah.
Now in the next run, I'm going to take a little bit of my phthalo green and maybe my ultramarine, which they're kind of giving that nice greenish hue. And I'm going to get a lot of white into it. And you can see there's just a slight more green hue. And I'm going to begin to put that through here, weaving that in as I come forward. these little methods are super powerful. And we're trying to convey a sense of space and color and pier. I'm going to come along here. I'm very excited how well the pier went in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did. I think that the gridding really did help with that.
I really do too, because I think piers are one of those things that can feel a little overwhelming to everybody, and then being able to grid can help make it seem a little less so. Like we've just got a little lake that's just happening. It's just happening. We're not even stressing for it. Like, look, my little lake just came in and it's not even stressy. I think that's one of the big things I'm hoping that everyone takes away from Acrylic April, is that it is a little stuff in a painting that does a lot of the big work. And by simplifying and being more painterly and loose, sometimes we can start to see what those big changes are. Add some little light reflections through here, because water is nothing if not a mirror to the world above it. So I'm hoping that that's helping you guys see, oh, like these are the things that make my painting work or fail. And it may not be like, the hours and hours and hours that we put into a painting where a painting works or fails, but in the decisions of value and color and composition. So hopefully that's kind of come out of it, where everyone's like, oh, painting's a little more simple and direct, much more than I thought. And again, just going to pop some little highlight reflections. You can see me working the toe, and I'm leaning this crazy way. I'm trying to stay out of John's way. It's really funny when I do this.
It's funny because you're really trying to keep that level, aren't you?
I am, is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to keep the water very level, and I'm trying to not have holes with no reflections as I've got there. The other thing I can do if I'm trying to see a piece is I can back up, which I guess I can do in the new format. Sometimes I forget we're in this new format. So I can back up to the back of my brush and the camera can still actually see me. Why did I not notice this earlier in the month, day 29? See? We have breakthroughs whenever we have them. So just making sure these little elements of water they feel waterish.
Yeah.
You can look at that and then make a comparison, what's the value like there, what's happening. But here's a little thing. If he's going to be quite light and you allow this to be just a little darker, you will see him better as he paints in. So just a little trick there. Now I find the background, the wood background, kind of interesting. So I'm going to start out with a little black and brown. Kind of looks like a deep chocolate, as you do. You can always add a smidge of ultramarine into this mix, because the ultramarine will help gray out the burnt sienna and weather your wood. And I would highly suggest starting with quite a dark value into your wood where you can. And I will just get back, because I remember I can get back.
Yeah.
I can get back. And it's okay to use your brush kind of rough here, because your planks are very rough. If you look at them, they're very, very rough. And it might help me right now to just kind of add a little yellow. This is a weird kind of saving thing I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And I'm going to come here and make sure that I sort of reserve my piers. I have to come back and give them some shape and dimension, but if I keep them as I'm painting the wood, then I won't lose them in the excitement of painting things. Because you can lose stuff in the excitement of painting stuff. Like, oh, it's very exciting to paint. And then you're like, where'd my piers go? And you'll have to be like, oh, I got excited, didn't I? I painted away all my piers. Now they're gone. These little support beams on this beautiful little handmade pier. See, so now those are saved. I can get back into my dark color fairly safely and not be as worried about it.
Yeah.
And think about it. And I'm standing back, which I've just realized I can do. Standing back allows me to take in the whole composition. One of the hardest things about teaching on YouTube is that I have to be in such a proximity to my canvas, and you don't see it the same way. This is an interesting time of our journey, too, because this is the time of month when everybody decides that they've actually gotten worse at painting. Myself included, along a painting journey, it's very normal to have that feeling like, how did I get worse?
It's true.
And there's a couple of things that are happening that are causing you to feel like that. And it's not actually that you got worse. It's that you're seeing more of what you're doing in a different way. And it's feeling like it's worse. But what it really is you've gotten better at seeing your work. So everything is starting to become clear to you. And those gaps between what you artistically are wanting to do and what you are doing will become super evident. And you'll get like all freaked out. And, oh no, I can't paint anymore. Which John has listened to even me say.
Which you have said.
Which I have said.
Oh, no.
I don't know why I ever thought I could paint. I don't know why anyone does daily paintings. They definitely take you through a whole thing.
I have to say, being on the last bit of this does, I have to say, I'm enjoying the feeling of being on the last few days of this.
You're ready to be done, aren't you?
Well, it's not that I'm ready to be done. I feel like very accomplished. Like we've done this thing. We started
Dude, we've
off.
done a thing.
Yeah.
We've done a thing. I'm putting a very deep value here to show kind of a bigger cracked board. Yeah, we have done a thing. You've done a thing. If you're still here, you've done a thing. If you came by just to paint, you've done a thing. Don't question yourself. You have done a thing. Going across. I'm just going to make sure that I've got some of these. I'm going to go right over my pulls just so that I've got nice carry through on the stroke, but I'll be putting my pulls back.
Yeah.
Don't, you can count on it. I'm just trying to make sure that those like little elements of design are kind of considered out. And I'm just trying to see where the Pier has given me some of these deeper values. I'm going to get a little of that yellow into this mix here, which is really interesting. And then I'm going to get some white. And you're going to see what this is going to give me is sort of a weathered wood look. Weathered wood color, which this is very much.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to just paint some of these little boards more weathered. Look at that. Just painting a little bit of weathered wood. Still recovering from my cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be back. Great to be back from the event and then live with everybody again for that last day.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Have you guys missed the lives? I bet they have.
I bet I'm missing the lives. It's really funny because I'm sitting over here and I'll space out and then I'll look over to the computer and I'll start finding myself going, where? Oh, and
where's the chat?
Where's the chat? And it's not there. And so then I'm like, well, I should be quiet because I don't have anything to say.
Oh, you have lots to say. I'm going to get some more just pure brown on here and pop that in a couple places because it's interesting as a color and it's going to pop on the painting. Little bits of, see how we're doing?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be everywhere, but it's nice to have it a couple places that are. You can come and get some yellow into that, and I haven't even rinsed it out because it's all those weird little colors in the wood that make it feel like weathered wood, as it will want to. And maybe a lot of white in this next mix. Just showing some of the more weathered bits of wood. I'm just dashing around looking for little spots where I see highlights and just duplicating that so that my pier will have that sort of feeling.
And you're just using the material on or the paint on your brush
I'm
anytime
just,
you can.
yeah, just using the paint on my brush and I'm just leaning into that. And I go ahead and add a little black and a little brown because we got to do these little piers, these upward piers.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go again and put these back. And it's interesting because even as I had painted them out, I can very loosely put them back pretty easily. You can see them coming back in, right?
Yeah.
This one here came up, almost to there. I'm just duplicating what I had. And then this one was quite wide and tall. And then if you got to take any of it away, you just get some of your main like wood color and you come and find a spot where it should be covered. So now we've got a little bit of that happening that we can see. Rinse that out. And you let that dry for a second. Let that be for half a minute. I've got this sort of interesting brown yellow mix that happened here. Makes a putty. So that's actually a great color base for the hat. Let's come here and kind of start to talk about this hat. And you'll hear me say this a lot, talk about. So art is a communication tool. It talks about experiences and feelings and how maybe a moment feels for us more than even anything else. That's pretty good. I might get into some of my blue over here. And you'll see me just work my paintbrush in. I haven't really tried to rinse it out. And then I'm going to get a little white onto here.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're looking for is you're looking for the little bits of area that are highlighted. And you're trying to paint those so that your painting can start to happen. Just the beginnings of those. And I don't feel like I'm going to be able to get away doing the skin tones with anything but my round brush. I'm going to take my green and primary blue together. And I'm going to leave it definitely more to the green, grab a smidge of black. I'm going to begin to paint in what is the boot.
Those clearly cutie boots.
Cute little boot. Just try to get those shapes, right? And then this boot set. And if I catch these highlights right, the boot should look very boot. But if I don't, then the boot will look crazy. So wish me luck. Because it's really going to be about catching highlights and little bits of snogs of color.
Mm.
I'm just hitting this highlight. I may have to hit it again in a more refined way, but nope, I have to be in my round brush. I do not have the softness of hand for that, if that makes sense.
It does.
So sometimes you'll be going, you're like, man, I'd like to do it. It would be great to do it, but I can't do it. So I'm going to have to try to find it a different way, which is what I'm going to do. Because like what we really have here is I've got to get quite a lot of white. It needs to be very light. And then it's tap there. And you can always get just little bits of something here, like so if the heel is here, maybe a little white right there.
Which brush was that?
I'm just using my number 4 round here because I'm seeing that I gotta get into that if I'm gonna getting some of my brown color. And there's almost a little line there, and that I can kind of imply. And it's in that implication that I'm going to start to see stuff. Now I'm going to get my black on here. And it's going to be really important to make sure that the value, the shadow value that we've got down here is happening. Underneath our figure so the boots feel planted. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I'm going to come fix this toe, which got a little bit away from me. What I'm trying to do is just get the green value in the shape of the boot back, and then hopefully use a highlight. Sometimes it's just the highlight that gives us the shape. So if I come in and I get a little bit of my white here and I go, okay, there's a bit on the top of this toe, and then there's a bit at the back of that boot. And see how I curve it a bit?
Yeah.
I curve that one. I can always come back with just green to,
Put some highlights in there.
yeah, just to make it not as intense. And then I can even I'm just getting the perspective of that foot. So now we got galoshes that are a little more on the park bench. Which I think is super helpful. Give a more firmly planted and thickened heel. There we go. Now we can kind of see those. Those feel a little more like galoshes.
Yeah.
His shirt, I think I'm going to take a little of my primary blue, because it's just going to really pop out against the background, maybe. Come here and try to reveal some of these little shadows that are happening. And then I'm going to get a bunch of white. And that's what you're seeing me doing, is get a very light highlight of white. I am, more white, going to put his little overalls on. I just want to capture those areas that are brightly in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
A bit there on the shirt. As you would. Now, interestingly enough, I'm going to try to do my skin tone from just my vermilion and a little bit of my yellow. Add a little bit of my brown to that. Let's see how we do. Lots and lots and lots of white. So right here. Well, she found something that she didn't like.
Defense dog.
She did, didn't she? She's like, there's an intruder, and I'm not having it.
So it's sort of live.
I'm adding a little bit of my ultramarine blue to create the shadow in the skin tone. I'm going to go ahead and get that wet so it has a nice dispersion. I don't want to paint this too tightly because the whole point of the month was to get looser with the art.
It's true.
So I'm coming and I'm shading this part of the hand. I'm going to come in with just even a little more of that. And also, believe it or not, the face is very much in shadow.
Mm.
That skin tone doesn't need to be very bright. Look at that. Isn't that cute how that just comes out of nowhere?
Wow. It
A
really
little
does
bit
turn out
more of my
nice.
red into it and just a lot of my white. Oop, that was blue. That'll happen to you sometimes. So what it is that my glasses are great for seeing things up close, but not great at seeing things at the distance of my palette.
That
Exchanges.
happens.
I'm just trying to make sure that I'm seeing those little elements as they are. I might trim this up a bit. Even though I am trying to paint loose, that got a little bit crazy on me. I'm going to take that down. Interestingly enough, there's quite a dark shadow, so I'm going to take the very dark value. There's a very dark shadow right here. A little bit to the outside here. Definitely dark right here at the base of the sleeve. Bring a little of that black there. Just making sure his little clothes, right?
Yeah.
Oh, doesn't he look cute? Now I can take a little of my pinker skin tone and just make sure that right here. We're just making sure his little skin tone. Doesn't he look cute?
Yes.
He does. I likes him. All right. So primary blue and a little bit of my, believe it or not, my burnt sienna. And what I'm planning to do is just get all the deepest, darkest color of his little overalls in the basic shape that we have on the overalls, and then come in and add some highlights. I think is my best strategy here.
Hmm.
Again, that's the burnt sienna and the primary blue. Because, I want his overalls to appear baggy. I picked the image for the cuteness of the whole thing. And I will do the dark value here, but I'm going to come lighten it up a lot. Bring that down here. And then right there. So that will be addressed in a bit. I'm going to get into my ultramarine over here. I haven't rinsed out my brush though. I'm going to go ahead and make that little kind of value. And I'm going to come at the hat right here in a little bit. I'm not putting it right next to the water. But where I want to put that cool, that little nice natural shadow, that cool shadow,
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely going to do that. And I'm going to take a little of my brown, a little of my black, a good bit of my yellow, and make that kind of crazy putty color we did on his hat. But this time I'm going to go so white, so light on it. I may have to put out some more white, but right now I'm just going to try to really lighten this up the front. Let's go.
Yeah.
Is that a hat or what?
That's a great hat.
It's about to be more of a hat. We're going to put out some more white paint. And we'll save some of that just whitest white for those pop highlights, right? Well, all this is having a little bit of a rest. There's a couple things that we can do. The first thing that we can do is we can take our number 4 brush and swirl it around in the black paint. And I'm going to come right across this shoulder and off the canvas. And I'm going to come almost to the end of the pier in front. I'm going to make a little bobble here and a bit coming down. There we go. So there's this little implication. Now I'll have to put a highlight to make that happen. But right now, I've got to come to this side of my poles. I'm going to just get some of my shadows going.
Oh, wow. Those really solidify those.
And they need it. They will need those little shadows and highlights in a second that are going to happen between these two values to really pop. And you can see I'm being very rough about it. I'm just making sure that that side of them has the correct shadow on it. You can see I'm leaving a little top area for a highlight. So how have we been doing this month? I don't know.
I think we've been pretty awesome.
I do think I'm back into my ability to just be a little more relaxed about what I'm painting and not be so worried that the realism police are going to come by and have a whole moment in my life.
Yeah.
Because they do that sometimes, you know, the realism police come by and they have this feeling that if it's not realism, it didn't happen.
That's true. It's a very interesting thing in art.
And I think realism is super cool. I'm not anti-realism at all.
No, me either.
Yeah, well, I know you're not. John really isn't. So see, we're going to just start adding some of these. I'm really into it, and you know, hit these bits. How are we doing? So we got some little highlights going on our little pier. And while I'm at it, I'm going to take a lot of my white.
Yep.
Trick to this is I do want to leave a lot of the black there, otherwise it won't show up in the background. Let's grab a little white onto the brush. From the front of the hat, top of the hat. Bring that in a few places. That's fun. Maybe a little bit right here. There we go, a little hat. Oh, look at his coat self.
Yeah.
It's okay. I can always, you can always add little pops anywhere you need them to pull an element out. Now, I promise you, we actually want to go initially dark with our reeds.
Okay.
So I'm going to go black first.
All right. That's to get that deep shadow value.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also because sometimes what you're talking about is like, in the purposes of your painting, what's the value you have that will show up as light? And so by doing this, we get these little elements, but we're not contrast will help pull this space in. Even though we're going to come up with some very light things, this will help us see it better. Look at us in our little blue pants.
I like it.
I do too. Little brown,
This is,
little blue.
for a daily, this one's turned out, like.
I love this one.
Yeah, I'm surprised. This is like, you're 35 minutes into this one. This is just.
I'm feeling this one for sure.
You went back to the pants.
Went back to the pants. And I'm just trying to look to see if I can see little overall elements of highlight that I can pick up on him. This is a great one right here. Coming down, there's almost a pocket that's implied by this one. Here's a bit of a fold. I love doing fabric folds because they're just playful. And then back there, just a little of that. Not everywhere, but just some there. See how he did? Just a little. So now he's got some jeans. And he's fishing. He's a fishing, all cute and loose and happy little fishing dude. Let's take our yellow. Apparently our yellow and a ton of red. And some of our white. We'll just use this bright kind of value to see if we can't. Create that little contrast of also very bright bits of twigs and things. Maybe I need to be like right here. I'm just trying to be a little twiggly.
Yeah.
Be a little twiggly.
Just add a couple little twiggly bits.
There's little bits of like grasses and stuff up there, so I don't mind adding those up. Oh, I got some orange there. I can add those and the orange into that. Look at that. Just fun little colors that we can bring up. And you can see just even by varying up the lines and everything, it starts to make it seem like a very full space, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Come back over here and add anything if you need to. Pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I think that turned out pretty fantastic.
I think we've had a little bit of a... The only other thing that I might do, I might take some of this that I got. That's pretty exciting. And just a couple places. Pick a few highlights. As you might do. Just to help him feel a little more, look at that, in the sun.
That looks nice.
Because he is in the sun. And who doesn't want to have a sunny day? Now, signature, I guess I'm going to go, I'll probably go black because it's just not too noticeable. And pop it right here. The happy piece. I think he'll go good with the girl in lavender and all of that. Alrighty.
I think that turned out pretty good.
Let's turn around. So I'm pretty happy with him. He's light, he's fresh, he's airy. He didn't take us a whole big 5, 6, 7 hours. It's okay if it does on the repaint because I realize you got to pause and rewind and pause and rewind. But I'm just saying the project itself wasn't so layered that we were trapped in it for a long time. And it's nice to know that you can come in, do a fresh piece, get a sense of a moment, and get out. This is great for vacations. This is great if you're in an RV. This is great if you don't have a lot of time. And knowing this is something you can have in your art box will help you really enjoy your creative space even more. Be good to yourself. Be good to each other.
Join us tomorrow. Day 30.
Day 30. Come see us.
Gotta do it.
It's the last live of Acrylic April until 2020.
I know Cinnamon's going to try to wrap us up. We got to see you guys tomorrow. It's the last day live.
It's the last day live. I'm going
Love
to
you
see
guys.
you at the Easel really soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.